When it comes to upper body training, most people stick to the basics like bench presses and rows. And don't get me wrong, those are all great, but if you want to train like an athlete, you need more than just raw strength from a stable position. Athletic performance and even just moving better through everyday life is more than just pushing and pulling heavy weight. That's why in today's video, I'm breaking down 4 upper body exercises that athletes need to be doing. These moves will improve your power, rotation, anti-rotation, and help you to master movement patterns that actually translate beyond the gym. Let's get into it. Move number 1 is a landmine rotational split jerk. So quick PSA before we get into the exercise is that I am 15 weeks post-op from an ACL surgery, so if I look a little bit dainty on some of these exercises, it's because I'm protecting my knee, not because I'm trying not to produce as much power as possible. So just keep that in mind as we go through the moves. So this first exercise, the rotational split jerk, is such a great one for upper body vertical pressing. So we're thinking about pressing overhead. It's gonna be not only for strength, but also power and rotation, which we love. So we're gonna grab the angle barbell and you're gonna hold it with your hand that's holding the bar, underhand grip, and right close to your chest. And the other hand is just gonna be free off the bar. And then from there, the first move is gonna be a dip. So you're starting straight up and down, you're gonna dip your knees forward while keeping the rest of your body vertical. And then from there, you're thinking about driving your feet into the floor. So you're using your legs too for power, and you're gonna press, rotate, and land in this split position. And now, because of my knee injury, I landed a little bit straight. We actually wanna land a little bit more bent, so we're in this nice split position, and we're thinking about driving that weight overhead. All right, I'm gonna show you again. Come back down, you're keeping that hand facing toward your chest, nice and tall to start, dip at the knees, and then drive, press, and try to land nice and firmly into the ground. Step together and bring it back down. And why we like this exercise so much for upper body strength training and power and rotation is because a lot of times in life, we're not just standing with 2 feet planted firmly in the ground and lifting something directly overhead. If you think about putting your luggage in an overhead bin, you're not just gonna be here picking it up, perfectly pressing it up overhead. You're gonna have to move, you're gonna have to rotate, probably in a split stance, hoist it up into your shoulders, probably rotate to put it up. There's a lot of different factors and variables that are going on that we're often not getting from your standard overhead press in the gym. And again, with athletics as well, your arm usually isn't just moving on its own without the rest of your body contributing to it. So when we have a movement like this, where your legs are getting involved, your trunk is getting involved, you're using power, you're pressing overhead, all of it is working together. And that's why it's a much more athletic and a much more functional exercise for a vertical pressing move. Move number 2 is a split stance cable rotational row. So this move is really continuing on from the theme of the previous exercise, but now with a rowing pattern as opposed to with a pressing pattern. We want to continue to get outside of the idea that our strength exercises need to be with both feet planted firmly on the ground and we're just rowing or we're just pressing. So again, we're going to be doing some rotation. We're going to be doing a split stance. We're going to get outside of our base a little bit more, and that's going to apply more to everyday life and athletics. So for this exercise, we want to have the cable arm nice and low. And we're going to get into our split position. Now we don't want to be on a tightrope. If you're on a tightrope, you're going to feel super wobbly. So get that back leg out a little bit, and you're going to have both knees bent. And we want the cable to be slightly, it's out in front of you, but slightly across your body as well. If you're facing directly toward it, then you're going to lose that rotational element that we really like from this exercise. So you're going to get yourself slightly angled so your arm is crossing over your body, and then you're going to row and rotate at the top as well. So you're crossing your body, and then you're rowing, pulling the shoulder back, and rotating and returning. All right, I lost my weight on my tonal, so let me just add that back on. Okay, all right, so when we are doing this, you have 2 choices with your non-working arm. You can either have it just kind of on your hip, and you're focusing on that rowing movement, letting the lat relax and actually let the cable pull you forward, and then squeezing the lat, pulling the shoulder back and rotating while that other arm stays stable. Or the other option is you can add that other arm to make it a little bit more athletic, where you come forward as you rotate and back as you reach. Forward as you rotate, back as you reach. So again, we're just getting out of that stable base and we're making things a little bit more challenging for ourselves. And we're also using that cross-body connection that comes into play when we run, when we sprint, where our opposite arm and leg need to be working together, that opposite shoulder and hip need to be working together. But if we're always doing all of our lifts from this 2 feet on the ground, very stable position, we don't get that training in the gym, and then it doesn't translate to the field. So that's why we really love this rotational cross-body row for a much more functional and athletic lift. Exercise number 3 is a landmine rollout push-up. So most people know that push-ups are a really good thing to be able to work up to, so doing kneeling push-ups or incline push-ups to help you get to a full body push-up is a great endeavor and definitely something that we recommend. But a lot of times, once people are able to do 10 push-ups or so, they just want to kind of move on from it and they start to bench press, they start to do other upper body exercises, and they never return back to the push-up. But the push-up is such a great exercise and something that you can progress with different variations. And so that's why I want to show you this particular one today, because it has a lot of athletic carryover, much more so than your classic bench press. So for this rollout push-up, what we're gonna do is you're gonna have one hand on the barbell, and you need to have at least a small plate to be able to roll forward as you're going through it. So you're gonna have one hand on the bar, one hand on the floor, and I like to have a wider base with my feet because you are gonna have a little bit of a rotational element, and that wider base just kind of helps you to counteract that a little bit. And then from here, what we're gonna do is you're going to simultaneously start having the bar roll forward as you bend the other arm for the push-up, and then you're gonna press into the floor and pull it back in. All right, so you're rolling out, pressing, and pulling, and if you're doing it well, it's hard to talk through because there's a lot going on here. You're not only getting that pushing strength from that one working arm, but you're also getting some strength in the rolling arm, and you're also getting a ton of core challenge from trying to resist the rotation that's happening as you roll that bar overhead. Now this is a little bit of an intricate setup, so we know not everybody has the ability to set this all up. So if you have a slider, that's another way to do this exercise. It's still super challenging, but you just won't have the added weight going overhead. But you can put one hand on the slider, one hand on the floor, and then you're gonna slide that arm forward, press into the floor, and pull it back. Now, obviously you need to be pretty proficient at push-ups to be able to do this variation, so if you're not quite there yet, just keep working your way up to a standard push-up, because once you're there, then you're able to add some really fun variety that makes it super challenging. And finally, exercise number 4 is a ring pull-up. We love pull-ups for a functional exercise on their own, but we specifically love ring pull-ups for a couple different factors. One is that it allows a little bit more of a natural rotation of the shoulder joint, so it feels, and the wrist as well, so it just feels a lot better on your joints as you're going through it. And 2 is because it's unstable, not like a bar, you're gonna have to use your stabilizer muscles a little bit more, and there's just gonna be a little bit more of a challenge going on through some of the smaller muscles as you go through this pull-up. So what we'd like to do is we grab the rings, and ideally you'd actually be able to come to a full hang. I just don't have that set up in my gym, so I'm gonna have to bend my knees, but we prefer a full hang. And we actually like to start with your wrists slightly rotated out here, and then from there you're gonna rotate your wrists as you pull so that your palms end up facing in toward you. And then as you lower down, you're gonna do the opposite. Lower down and let the wrists rotate out, pull up, wrists rotate in. And that's just gonna feel really nice on the shoulder joint, really nice on the wrist as well. Sometimes people have a hard time just being contained to that straight bar. So this is just a nice way to make pull-ups feel a little bit better on your shoulders and to feel a little bit more functional as well. Now, if you're not quite at the point where you can do unassisted pull-ups, we like to use a box and use a leg-assisted pull-ups with the rings. So for that, you're gonna stand up on a box, and you wanna make sure that at the end where you're standing up straight, your wrists, the palms of your hands are basically at your shoulders. So you'd basically be at the top of a pull-up position. And then from there, you're just gonna lower yourself down into a squat position. You're gonna turn those wrists out, and you're gonna do the same thing. Now you're able to use your legs just as much as you need to get to the top position, and then just as much as you need to lower yourself down. So this is a way to modify where you can progress week to week by just using less of your legs and more of your upper body, and that's gonna help you to eventually be able to do that full ring pull-up. And there you have it, 4 upper body exercises that go beyond basic lifts, challenge your strength, improve your stability, and work through multiple planes of motion so you can train like an athlete. Incorporate 1 or more of these into your routine and you'll quickly notice a significant difference in your upper body strength, control, and overall athletic performance. If you're looking for more workouts that combine strength, mobility, and athletic performance, check out our free guide, Sustainable Strength. It includes a sample week of workouts to help you train smarter. You can find the link in the description box below. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more content like this, and let us know in the comments what kind of content you'd like to see from us in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.